Good day to you. My name is Walt. Welcome to my channel. If you don't know it, I talk about comics and I talk about books and I talk about comic books, single issues, graphic novels, whatever you call them. This one here is a mix in between, serialized storytelling, monthly storytelling that is done in single issues. It was serialized in the 80s by Marvel Comics and it's Daredevil, A Touch of Typhoid by Nocenti and Romita Jr. And it's a fantastic run that is now collected. This is the first part of it in this beautiful epic collection edition. And yeah, you can read it like a graphic novel. All right, so let's get into it. First, I want to say that I had some fond memories of it, like you sometimes have with comics that you've read when you were younger, and you remember them to be super exciting or extremely meaningful and philosophical, even. And when you read them later, or basically when you're a grown up, you see that it was pretty superficial fluff. Most of the times, like 93% of the times. This is part of the 7% that are left, because this felt even more interesting now. I think I got more nuances out of it than when I read it when I was, I don't know, 14 or something. It has a lot to do with Nocenti's writing. Nocenti, for you who don't know her, was a pretty important figure in the Marvel Comics of the 80s. She worked under Jim Shooter, who was editor-in-chief back then, on the X-Men books. She was the main editor of the X-Men books in a time where the X-Men didn't plateau yet. They were still growing in numbers and in series. X Factor came out, New Mutants was released. So she oversaw all this line of exciting new Claremont creations, and she also started to write herself. I'm not sure which books she started on, but she's widely known for this run on Daredevil. Problem is, the writer and artist before her was named Frank Miller, and he didn't only revolutionize Daredevil, he revolutionized the whole American superhero idea and comic industry with it. So it's really, really tough to follow on this kind of revolutionary type of guy and of run. I have read some of Frank Miller's run. I don't think I ever completed it. What I've read, I liked. It's, of course, like most times with those very, very important seminal runs who break the rules, it's often that the ones that follow them really have the possibility to explore it more and to bring more nuance into it. Having said that, the art was fantastic, and the introduction of Elektra and Daredevil's downfall and the downfall of his girlfriend. She's not his wife, right? Karen Page. Was really very mature readers. Very hard stuff. Really, really hard stuff. And I think this was shocking back in the day. It isn't as shocking when you read it now, that, drug abuse, prostitution, whatever. It's more part of a mainstream culture of, dark storytelling and real gritty storytelling and crime storytelling. But it is what elevated Daredevil, who was always like kind of a second-rate Spider-Man, to his own, maybe legacy. Because after Miller came Nocenti, after Nocenti came Chichester, I think was his name. But then Daredevil was the linchpin of Marvel Knights back when Gemas and Quesada relaunched Marvel into more of a major readers brand, heavily influenced by what Vertigo was doing. They relaunched it in the noughties, and with fantastic writers like Brian Michael Bendis and Ed Brubaker. So only the best of the best worked on this book. And I think from all those runs, I would say that this one here is probably closest to my heart, and it might also be the most intellectually interesting one and challenging one. Okay, so this was a very big forward, large forward. Let's get into the book. The story is, I can't tell you all of it. It's 500 pages almost, 450 pages. And like I told you, it's serialized. So there are some issues who are part of the grander narrative. Some are just part of the crossover that was just taking place back in the day, which was Inferno. But I would say the main storyline is this here, the introduction of Typhoid Mary. She's, is it typhoid or typhoid? I think it's typhoid. So she was, I think she was another version of Elektra, but much more, I would say, much more complex, because she is basically a split personality. There is this Typhoid character, and then there's Mary. Mary, who's a very sweet and love-oriented person, very needy of love. And then there's Typhoid, who just represents the lust principle, and who is also psychotic. And whenever you meet this kind of person, which represents both, you know, the angel and the demon, I know it sounds very simplistic, and maybe it is a little bit, but it's so very well done here. And Daredevil / Matt Murdock, his alter ego, they are so much, they are so distressed about it. They don't know how to deal with her. And it takes him a really long time, hence his super senses and super smell, whatever he has, to really understand that those two persons belong to one. And I think this is also a bit of a meta story that is here, that you can't really divide those things. They go always together. You can't divide the bad from the good, the lustful from the loyal. And Nocenti plays this very, very well, and goes with her main character, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, into very dark places. So basically he falls in love with Typhoid Mary, and well, wait, Matt Murdock falls in love with Mary, and Daredevil has this thing with Typhoid. So it's a double date thing that is going on. With Typhoid, it's more of a clash. It's a power struggle thing, which, spoiler alarm, Typhoid wins. With Mary, it's different. Mary's very fixated on him, and he can't resist her. And he's very happy with his girlfriend, Karen Page, and they have gone through such a difficult time. And you know, now you would expect, and probably Karen expects him to just, like, you know, be happy with her and enjoy the life that they're building, but he can't, because this new woman showed up. And there are scenes in here. He's helping a blind boy who was poisoned by some, well, company, whatever. It's not important. The thing is, like, he takes care of this boy, and the boy's blind, and Mary helps him with this boy, and they are basically like touching and kissing each other, with the boy standing next to them, because they know they can do it because he's blind. So it's really, I don't think you would read this kind of hero in a comic of today, because now, and this is a big problem of mostly Marvel comics, but not only, that the heroes are either good, or that the good and bad thing is now very clear. And in here, I don't know what to think of Matt Murdock. I don't know if I should despise him or not. But he's super interesting because of that. I want to know more about him because it makes him very human. So this is, again, a very, very Marvel thing. When you read the very early Marvel, like, people behave really like the worst. Like, people are psychotic, people are, they're not on their best behavior always, and they don't always decide what's best for them or in the interest of the community or whatever. They are egoistical. I mean, think of Spider-Man. He lets this burglar get away, and then this burglar kills his uncle. So this is like the prototypical Marvel story, and you can relive it here. He gets lured into this net of lust created by Mary / Typhoid, and he can't really get out of it. And I won't tell you now how the story ends or whatever, because you should read it for yourself. I will just say that it's not the only topic. It's, of course, this whole loyalty and lust and the moral shades of gray. But there's also like other things discussed in here, social issues. It was some people even back then were like a little bit the critique that a lot of left-wing comics get today, like, oh, it's too preachy, and you can read the intention of the author too much out of the comic. And I have to say, it's not like that. It's yes, of course, you can see that she's tackling some very, very important social issues, but it's not simplistic at all. On the contrary, she even takes side with the bad guys. There is here one two-parter, which is dealing with a guy who basically runs amok, like we've seen now in the States. Like, people run amok from time to time when society is in stress. Some people can't cope with it, and they just go for it. They just do it because they have nothing to lose. And this is one of those guys. It's a fantastic story told in 3 parts, and it features Daredevil and the Punisher. Of course, they take him out. Of course, they find him. But there are 2 aspects that I want to talk about. One is the fact that the guy's motivations are explained. He's not a bad guy. Daredevil goes into the factory, and let me see. I need to show you some art, because another thing is, like, John Romita Jr. was amazing on this book. So he goes into the factory where this guy worked, and he talks with his colleagues, and they like, yeah, of course, man, because automatization is taking our jobs away, and this guy used to work here, but he couldn't adapt fast enough, and now I totally get it, says his colleague, that he lost his cool. It's here. I found it finally. I'm talking so much because I'm so excited about it. He's like, how are we supposed to adapt so fast? I mean, they talk about computers. It's like, I don't know, 88 or something, 89. So of course there were computers, but it wasn't like this super massive big thing like it's nowadays. But even back then, the problem of automatization was a topic in a Marvel comic, and it's written so well. Much better than anything that I've read today, if you ever read something like this today. So there is this guy, and he's saying, well, look, the young guy here, he learned really fast, and he will continue working here. But the other guy, he was a bit slow, and he just couldn't do it. But what do you do with those slow persons? I mean, what do you do? What are they supposed to do? And this is a big, big question, a very important societal issue, I think, that is, we're heading right into it. And it started here, and it will get only worse. And this was one thing where I thought, wow, this is really nuanced storytelling. Then of course, Daredevil and Punisher have to fight it out because Daredevil wants to catch this guy, and he believes in the law, so he wants to bring him in. And Punisher just wants to kill him, of course. Just take revenge, just eliminate him. And they have this fight, and then this guy, and this is also a change of perspective here. Where was that? Yeah, it's here. And this guy is like watching those heroes fight over his destiny, and he's reflecting it. Like, in which world are we living? Like, of course, I'm a bad person. I know it. I'm aware of it. I've done something terrible. But what kind of world is it that decides that my destiny and my life is decided by two random guys dressed in funny costumes? So this is what I said before about like Frank Miller and making it real and whatever. Making it real is not like cursing or show sexuality, but really dealing with the questions of ethics and questions of power when costume superheroes just take the law in their own hand, or just like decide for you what who you are. They're vigilantes. They take the law in their own hands. All right. So on we go, and I have to say the first half is much more intense. And there is a culmination, like after two-thirds in, there is like a climax of this story with Typhoid, who is hired by Kingpin to kill Daredevil. So she's in a moral conflict too. Mary in her loves him, but Typhoid is a hard killer, and she wants to show him that she's more powerful than him. And of course, we all know that Daredevil didn't really die, but well, he goes, basically you could say he goes through a very hard psychological phase. And it's shown fantastically by John Romita Jr. The drawings, but not only the drawings, it's also the colors. And I have to look up the colorist because, of course, I forgot it. I think it's Max Scheele or Scheele. Are fantastic. And I didn't completely understand it when I first read it. But now that I'm looking through it, it's all in pink. And you can see here, it's her color. It's Typhoid's color, is pink. And in red, which is Daredevil's color. So this combination of pink and red and the yellow, which breaks through it, is something that we'll see very often in the book, whenever it gets really, really insane, like here. This is here part of the crossover with Inferno I told you about. This was a big event in the Marvel Universe where people basically went mad. And it's interesting because thematically it's a perfect fit for the run, this particular run of Nocenti. Yeah, there are one or two fillers in here, which are, not worth mentioning. But overall, so Daredevil has this moral downfall or ethical downfall. He has to be reborn once again. This is his story. He's also like this Catholic guy, so he has to be reborn all the time. And yeah, there are a lot of fantastic moments. I can't get into all the stories. There is this super cool a Christmas story here. And again, with a trans person, by the way. So all those super, you would think, nowadays themes and issues were dealt with so elegantly here and so engagingly. And you want Nocenti to come back. You want Nocenti to come back and start writing Marvel comics again. And the thing is, she will do it. She will have a story in the new Marvel Comics Presents. Will be launched in a month or two. And yeah, finally, I want to really acknowledge the fantastic art by John Romita Jr., who is, I don't know why, but a lot of people don't like his style. I don't know if they never liked it or they don't like it nowadays. I get it that nowadays it seems a little lazy, But when you look at this art and the whole how he builds his pages, and the whole craft that goes into expressions, and everything is so subtle and so deep. Yeah, it was like reading a proper novel. You know, real characters. A lot of nice horizontal things that went through, I don't know, 10 issues or so, character plots, B plots, which advanced only slowly, and it was a real nice payoff to keep reading. And what can I say, man? This is fantastic comic making and not talked about enough. This is why I had to talk so much about it. I'm really sorry for the slightly overwhelming presentation form, but you can see I'm excited. It was a fantastic read, and I urge you to check it out. It's $40, but I think you can get it cheaper online. And if you like it, I still haven't read the second part or reread, but I ordered it already. There is a second part of Nocenti's and John Romita JR's run, also collected in an Epic collection. So there's that. Thank you very much for watching and for finishing this video. And yeah, if you liked it, subscribe to my channel and come back for more. See you then. Bye bye.